Hi, my name's Charlotte, and I want to talk to you guys today about something that a friend sent me, and he asked my opinion on it, and so here is my opinion on it. So what he sent me, basically, it was this woman who is on a high social media platform, and she is calling out Todd White, saying that he's a false teacher, basically, and she had a list of reasons why. And so, when I first saw it, I thought, wow, did Todd White really say some of these things? And then instantly after that, I thought I need to go and actually hear what he said in context, to get a bigger picture, instead of just being a sheep and listening to someone who is proclaiming these things over someone else's life, which I didn't think was very fair. So I did. So I went and I listened to Todd White and what context some of these statements that were ungodly was said in, and honestly, I didn't have any in my spirit, any trouble with anything that he was saying. I didn't think it was bad at all. What I do think is bad is that we've got these people who are on a platform, and then other people putting a microscope over them and picking apart their message. And humans aren't perfect. They're not going to get it right all of the time. So if we're going to put a microscope over someone and pick apart all the bad things that they've done, then that's exactly the opposite of what God tells us to do. So I just feel strongly on this. Look, and I understand people might have a heart to call out false teaching. It does say in the Bible, beware of false teaching, which is great, but there's just a certain way I think that we could go about it. For instance, not telling people how to think about other people. You can lead people to think for themselves and give them thought-provoking ideas, but don't tell people how to think and feel, especially when it comes to naming other people and calling them out like that. And I also feel if you're on a platform and you've got 20,000 followers or 10,000 or even 10 followers, you calling someone out by name is really super inappropriate, and I just feel that's not what God calls us to do. And you might be thinking, oh, well, you're calling people out, Charlotte, da 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 da, and I am, but I'm not doing it by name. I'm calling out the behavior that I don't feel is appropriate. So and when I talk about that, I often I think about the whole the analogy where you squeeze toothpaste out and you can't get it back in the tube. You squeeze it out. You can't do that with your words either. You can't say the words and put them back. Once those words have come out, whether they were intended to cause damage or not, once they're out, the damage is done. It's the unfortunate reality of the life that we live, and which is why we have to be extra careful with the words that we use. And I'm trying to be real careful with the words that I use now, because I know that my words aren't usually they're not always on par with what God probably wants me to be saying. So the reason why I talk about motorbikes, you always hear motorbikes here in Waitara, sorry about that. The reason why I am saying this is because I feel Satan's biggest weapon is distraction. And so when we are listening to a message and then we get in there and we pick apart all the parts we don't like, we are missing the whole entire message, and that's not good. We don't want to miss a whole message of God's word because someone who's delivering it, who is merely human, has said a couple of statements that don't sit well, and then we end up focusing on those statements and repeating those statements over and really getting into that, as opposed to listening to the whole message. I think it's best that for me, I need to remind myself that if I find myself in that place, that I need to let it go and try and listen to the message of hope that person is trying to deliver. Because let's be honest, when someone is preaching the gospel, they are trying to preach a message of hope, because that's what the Bible is about. They're trying to preach hope, salvation. They're not trying to trip you over. That's not their intention. So don't get distracted by the one or two statements that don't feel right. Disregard them and go, okay, not for me, or do with it what you will, but don't get hung up on it. I think like asking for wisdom, praying for discernment is really super important, and actually just using it, because you know it's like a muscle. If you don't work it, it's not going to grow. So you've really got to grow your wisdom by practicing wisdom. And I relate that to wisdom in interpreting messages, of course, when people are preaching. Yeah, this whole thing, the reason why I'm saying it is because I listened to this woman, and I'm not going to name her because that would be wrong, just bag Todd White, man, and I mean like dragged his name through the mud, and I was like, wow, this is sad, because she's talking to like 20,000 people, 20,000 of her followers, and I just thought, what if 20,000 people miss out on a beautiful message of hope and salvation because she has told them that he's a false teacher? What if they listen to that? And it just made me feel really sad, because Todd White is a mighty man of God, and that's why God put him on that platform. And do you know what? Todd White wouldn't be on the platform that he is on if God did not want him to be there. God would have stopped that a long time ago if he was not so pleased with his son. So I just like really want to remind people just to be super careful with their words, especially when you're speaking on a public platform, whether it be in your church, whether it be on social media, wherever you are, just be super careful. And you might not always get it right, but like if you're recording yourself speaking a message and your message is promoting hate over somebody else, that's not cool, man. We shouldn't do that. And you might think that I'm doing that now, but I'm really not. I'm really not. Just trying to bring awareness around what is essentially bullying, and that's what I kind of feel like that was. It's just bullying, and it's just massive distraction. Massive distraction. So yeah, Todd White, thank you, great. And I think he is spreading an incredible message of hope and love, and to the people that are going around saying that he's a false teacher and so forth, and you know he's working with the demonics and stuff like that, I just think, don't listen to the garbage. Just don't even give it the time of day. Just don't. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I think I got off track of what I really wanted to say, but also feel like a little bit of what I was trying to say got out there. Yeah, if you have any questions, probably just don't even ask me, just go straight to God, thanks. That'd be great. God bless you guys. See ya.